under the pretense that they are protecting government. Government is for the people. The people have to know what the government is doing, particularly when the government is elected. You cannot then be in Abuja and wait from the people, inaccessible to them, and you expect that things will work out well.
Well, sorry, Mark, but again, who do you put the blame on? Because if you complain and you say we likely have a dormant press compared to the military era, who do you blame? Isn't it the press itself, or the journalists rather?
The Nigerian media is part of the society. So if we go on to look for who to blame, there will be a lot to blame. My point is, we have to see the media as part of this society and build the society along with the media. And in doing that, we look at the investments that are being made in the media in terms of training, in terms of the entrepreneurs who are investing in the media. Are those investments enough to sustain the type of media we want? We want a media that is vibrant. We give examples of where the media will report, where the media will help society to grow. But we also need to find out the type of investment those societies make in their media. It's not about blaming, it's about us correcting the things that are going wrong.
I was going to ask this question, but I do not know if it will stand in the sense that I was going to say with freedom comes responsibility. Do you think that the media has been responsible with the freedom, or, some of the freedom that it has?
With freedom comes responsibility. So, without freedom, do we then opt for irresponsibility? There is no freedom. The media have been so responsible that this society should acknowledge that. Some of the things we've done in this society wouldn't have got as far as we did without the media. But there is no freedom. So we should be asking, does the society expect the media then to be responsible?
Well, lots of reports are coming through this, especially with this 20th World Press Freedom Day. And there was this, they call themselves Reporters Without Borders. And they went ahead and published an annual Press Freedom Index. And Nigeria ranked 115 out of 179 countries. And then you also have so many other publications. And so increasingly, just as you say, it's one thing for us to say the press is free. It's another to consider all of this report. But looking at all this report, do they really reflect the goings on, or it's just little infractions here and there?
I don't even think some of those reports reflect the things that go on properly. We have some freedom, but freedom in which way you have to fight for it. My main point is that society itself has to recognize the importance of that freedom to its survivor. Press freedom or the freedom for the media should not be a regime-based thing. It should be a national aspiration. And most people also think that freedom for the media becomes an individual gain in terms of each media house benefits from this freedom. No. It is a gain for the society itself. I think that's indeed the point. But sometimes people are thinking it's freedom for journalists to write what they want to write. No. It's for freedom for society to know what is going on within, so that members of that society can make valuable contribution to what is going on. If today we know exactly how the budget is spent, the Nigerian budget remains a mystery. If we know how it is spent, people will be in a position then to make contributions. So society itself will grow. So freedom of the media is not for the benefit of media practitioners. It's for the benefit of the entire society. And then when we have it, just as Mokwe was mentioning, the responsibilities it goes for, the also ways of checking to ensure that people meet those responsibilities. If the responsibilities are not met, there are sanctions. But first, there must be that freedom. And then the understanding that the freedom is for the good of the society. It's not for the individual, it's not only for the good of the individual practitioners, who are mere vehicles in ensuring that society has access to information.
You know, some people will be a little bit confused, even though, just as Chamberlain said, a whole lot has been highlighted. And looking at another report here, says 2012, we've recorded about 68 deaths worldwide from journalists. But looking at the risk involved in covering so many other issues, I want to bring the case of the Baga killings here, for instance. What is the journalist doing in such circumstances? For instance, they've not been able to go all out, even though there's no clear-cut restriction from the government for for them to go and verify and see if truly what has been peddled is the truth?
There might not be restriction, but if you wander towards Baga, you will know if there are restrictions. It's a security zone. There are security operations going on there. So government decides who gets in here or not. Even in places where there are no conflict, like our petroleum installations and so on, the security agencies and government determine whether you get in there or not. So restriction is not by order of saying don't go there. There is a security, it's a war zone. Let me put it more plainly. And then for you to have access, you have to be cleared to go there. In other places, while that operation was going on, the media would have been embedded in that operation. The media would have known about that operation. The media would have had access to the place after the operation. And then you have accounts based on individuals there. And that's why, because if government wants people to know what is going on, it should. The problem with what is going on in Baga now, just as we had an editorial yesterday, Vanguard had an editorial on it yesterday. We are looking at the figures. People are saying it's 20, it's not. We don't value life. If we value life, one life lost in Baga or elsewhere, we could cause an inquiry. But we are saying, oh, if it's 2 people, what is that? It's 25, it's 185. It is not the number. It's the value we place on life. It's the value we place on the fact that the Constitution says nobody should take anyone's life except legally. So the lives taken in Baga and elsewhere, whether in Odi, Saki Biam, Omuchem, and other such places who have been killed, they are those lives taken legally. So that's the issue. So sometimes, even if the media had to get in there and report, oh, this is what happened in Baga and so on, the constitutional provisions about life, the sanctity of life, are they actionable in Nigeria? Are people being tried for war crimes? Haven't we seen people beating their chests about the places they leveled and recommending such action to other people? So those are the issues. Whatever the media do or do not do, society's reaction to those things are important. Effective laws to ensure that people are punished are important. If we continue with the level of impunity, no matter how the media report corruption, no matter how the media do investigative reports, they will not have any effect. They will only have if those actions are punishable under appropriate laws. Not laws that somebody steal billions, so you get a few number of days, or pay a fine that when people hear about it, there's almost a riot in our hands. So there are limits to what the media can do. The media can go to Baga and report what happened. But then what next? Is anyone going to be tried for war crimes? What were the rules of engagement for that encounter? Were they followed? Are we now saying because maybe some terrorists are in that town, everybody is a terrorist? All the houses have to be blown down to get the terrorists. So those are the issues. They go beyond what the media do or do not do. The key issues are what does this society want for itself, and how does it want to affect that?
What do you say to the accusation that in Nigeria we only practice frontline or front page journalism? As soon as something leaves the front page, we're no longer interested in it and we don't follow up enough on stories.
Well, it's not front page journalism. So much happens in this society and with such speed that sometimes you could just lose track. I share in that, concern about us not following up on stories for so long. It's a concern that has been expressed in several quarters, and I think it's something worth doing. Because just as I've mentioned here, the Oji story, for example, nobody even wants to know what happened thereafter. But this was a place that was so level that the former Senate President, Chibok Adibo, got there. He said it's not a day for speeches because there's nobody to speak to. That's how devastating the was. And those who caused it are still there. If they're in the army, they probably have had promotions. And you are looking for some criminals or a couple of people, then you level a whole place. So the point about following up on stories is important, and maybe it's one of the things we have to get back to.
Do you think that the media is playing a leadership role, or the leadership role that it ought to play in the society? Because in some aspects, if not in all, they kind of gave a direction wherein society ought to go with you to correcting some of these